Hey there, fantasy players. Welcome to the 2010 NFL.com Fantasy Draft Kit. I'm Lindsay Soto alongside fantasy editors for NFL.com, Michael Fabiano and Adam Rank. They're going to break down what you should do with your draft in a few months. And we're going to start with the breakout players. 3 guys. I want each of you guys to give me 3 different guys. Michael, you go first.
Yeah, breakout player number 1 for me is going to be Rashard Mendenhall, Pittsburgh Steelers. If you looked at his numbers last season, he really started to trend up. Based on his 12 starts, he would have rushed for close to 1,200 yards, around 9 touchdowns based on a full season. And he's got some really good matchups, a very favorable schedule. And, you know, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they always have that tradition of good running backs. I think Mendenhall is going to be the next in that line. I think he's worth a first-round pick. Also, Sean Green, another running back. You saw what he did last season in the playoffs, rushed for 263 yards and 2 touchdowns in wins over the Bengals and the Chargers. I think he has double-digit touchdown upside. I'm not worried about LaDainian Tomlinson taking carries. I still think Green's going to see 300 carries in that offense. I think he's a definite round 2 option for fantasy owners. And finally, Jermichael Finley, big tight end there in Green Bay. Last season finished very strong, 34 catches, 496 yards, and 4 touchdowns in his last 6 games. Had a big playoff game against the Cardinals with 159 yards. He has a great schedule. This guy is going to emerge as a number 1 fantasy tight end. Look for him in round 6 or 7.
I want to go back to Mendenhall for a minute. How do you see Ben Roethlisberger's early season suspension affecting his value?
I think it improves his value because you're going to either have Dennis Dixon or Byron Leftwich there under center for the Steelers. That means they're going to run the football more. I think you're going to see the Steelers pound the ball quite a bit more than they did last season. And look at the schedule over the first 3 games. He faces the Falcons, the Titans, the Buccaneers. Mendenhall's got a very, very favorable schedule. I love this guy. He's a number 1 fantasy back.
Adam, Fabiano seems to like the running backs as the breakout players. What about you?
I'm going to start with a quarterback, and I'm going to go to Atlanta with Matt Ryan. And I think last year we got caught up. There was too many expectations on Matt Ryan. Our colleague Jason Lockenfor was ready to put him in the Hall of Fame after his rookie season. Everybody kind of expected him to be a breakout guy. He didn't quite live up to that. He wasn't terrible. He had close to 3,000 yards, 22 touchdowns in a tough schedule. But this year is the year that I'm looking for him to reach 30 touchdowns. Michael Turner's slim. He's healthy. I think that's going to help him out a lot. The next guy I like is Deshaun Jackson in Philadelphia. I think he's ready to be a top 5 wide receiver. He's ranked number 5 as the number 5 wide receiver on NFL.com. He's increased his touchdown totals both years he's been in the league. He's went from 2 to 9. This year I look for him to have double-digit touchdowns. And he's the focal point of that offense. He's their number 1 option. He's going to have a huge year. And my last guy, I like Beanie Wells in Arizona. When Ken Whisenhunt came to Arizona, I think he wanted to have a smash-mouth team, a blue-collar team like he had in Pittsburgh. The problem is he had Kurt Warner there. You have a Ferrari in the garage, you're going to drive it. This year, the Cardinals have revamped the offensive line. They're going to focus more on that. Plus, you know, when you got Matt Leinart or Derek Anderson as your options, you're probably going to run a little bit more. I look for him in the 3rd round. Deshaun Jackson's a 3rd rounder to me. And Matt Ryan, if you get him in the 9th round, I think you'll be very happy.
Deshaun Jackson, the Eagles get rid of Donovan McNabb, a future Hall of Famer, and give Kevin Cobb the keys to the bus, and you think that is ultimately going to help Deshaun Jackson?
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, the biggest move I think they did was when they got rid of Brian Westbrook, because the offense then switched to a passing offense. The Eagles ranked 28th in rushing attempts last year when Brian Westbrook was on the shelf. I think this year there's going to be more passing, and we can argue whether Kevin Cobb or Donovan McNabb, whether that will help or hurt, but the fact is they're going to throw the ball a lot, and the Eagles they could be into a lot of shootouts. Their defense might be down a little bit. They might have to. I just expect them to throw the ball a lot, and Deshaun Jackson's their number 1 guy.
All right, good stuff. That's going to do it for our breakout players portion of this NFL Draft Kit. If you're craving even more draft advice, you can check out the full fantasy draft kit that is online. Also, pick up a copy of the NFL.com Fantasy Football Preview Magazine that's on store shelves and also available on NFL Shop.